Here we go. We've got a bit of a monument here. Trentham, gateway to the Wombat State Forest. Hi, and welcome to Terry Travels, and we're on the road once more. This is going to be predominantly, but not exclusively, a driving vlog. And as soon as this big ass bus gets out of my way, we'll get back on the road. We're actually in a little town called Gisborne, named after one of the villains in Robin Hood, I believe. Not a bad little town. It's got a train station. It's kind of cool, and I like it. And a bit of race in front of the car. And so we're off to Mount Macedon, one of the Greek-named places here in Victoria, because the white guy who found it really dug Greek mythology. And so he named it after Mount Macedon and Macedonia and all that kind of thing. There's all sorts of Greek-named places because of this geezer, because he was like Greek mad, totally on board for it. And the weird thing about it is they also named one of the larger rivers heading up toward the border Campaspe River. And Campaspe, apparently, according to the mythology, was the woman who took the virginity of Alexander the Great. So we've got a river named after the woman who took Alexander the Great's cherry, because that's kind of stuff that happens. So we're going to head up here and head up onto the freeway where the speed limit goes up to 110 kilometers an hour, which is what I want. And then we're going to head up to Mount Macedon to look at the autumnal leaves. So I'll give you a bit of B-roll of the road up toward the Macedon Ranges. And maybe we'll chat to you on the way, but we'll just see how we go. This is also the road that goes up to Bendigo and Castlemaine. And we may end up at a little country town or two after we do the road up to Mount Macedon. It's autumn, of course, because we're in the southern hemisphere. I've got just what we want, a little bit of cinema verite. So here we go. We're going to be heading up towards Mount Macedon, which if it's seen the distance is off to the right here. And it's a considerable piece of extinct volcano is what it is. And I like it mostly for those autumnal leaves that we're going to see as we head up the hill. Mount Macedon exit 1 kilometer. That's what we want. So how is everybody? The last video, the one I did for the Route 75 tram route, did crazy well on the channel. It's a new channel, of course, but it got like 17 or 1800 views. If you want to support the channel, you can be a patron at patreon.com/terrytalksmovies and help out a lot. The whole idea was for me to come up here and look at the autumn leaves on the trees as we cruise around Mount Macedon. And I'm going to take it, the road says 80 kilometers an hour, but I'm going to take it at 60 and see what we can get. And directly ahead, through the trees, you can see Mount Macedon itself. We're going to head up there and check out the views as well, which requires a little bit of walking, but not too much. And this time of day is not a bad time of day to do it, because the traffic is low and it's not a weekend. This is a very posh part of the world, because a lot of people have little hobby farms or little retirement farms where they go and live and spend their happy years. 12% grade for the next 2 kilometers. So we're going up the hill. Yeah, I thought I'd come up here and just groove around, and got to slow down to 40 because there's a school here and it is school hours, and they've slowed the traffic down to 40 when the kitty winkies are going to and from school. But I've just got over a bump and the camera has held, so not unhappy with that. There is a lot of sun glare there, as you can see, which is probably affecting the view. And across there, as you might see, is the Country Women's Association Hall. Country Women's Association is this organisation which has been going for well over a century of women getting together and forming community groups and helping out with charities and things like that. And it's also at the Royal Melbourne Show, they put on a really slap-up breakfast for people, and they sell it at the show. So the CWA show breakfasts are famous for being a good, hearty, cheap breakfast at various shows around the place. But they've got a very posh hall there, which is a little bit unusual because usually they just meet in community halls. I've been to a couple of meetings up at the other side of town. But yeah, I haven't been up here for a very long time. There's a trading post over here, which is kind of cool, and a real estate place, because of course there is. But and a motel. But yeah, I'm going into the sun, which is probably not the best. Limited parking ahead, parking officers on duty, because they want to make some dough out of this, obviously. And now we're heading up the hill. There we go. We're getting some of the autumnal colours on the trees already. Already gained a little bit of altitude here. This is pulled back a bit. But yeah, all the leaves are falling off the trees. And I'll shut the window again to cut down on the wind noise as we go up the hill. Very leafy, and they planted all of these deciduous trees because there was this intense nostalgia for England among people who colonized this part of the world. And so they wanted everything to look like England, even though it definitely wasn't. So all these big trees around here are imports. They're not indigenous trees, which is a bit of a shame because I think Australian bushland looks much better than the bushland. And look at all the leaves coming off the trees at us. Much better than the bushland that we get when it tries to be something it's not. Definitely gaining some altitude here because my ears just popped. As we head up the hill. Yeah, there was a lot, particularly in Victoria, more than any other place apart from maybe Sydney. They tried to imitate England as much as they could when they colonised. And here we go, get some real autumnal colours on the trees around. And it kind of doesn't sit well now because it had an enormous impact on the environment and the ecosystems, of course. And it never looks right, and particularly as the climate is changing, the vegetation from England doesn't really suit the environments we have here in Australia. Here we're starting to see a little bit more of the native trees because people didn't quite come up this far to plant some of this stuff. But yeah, our temperature is dropping as well. It's down to 10 degrees. And I wish the sun wasn't in my eyes here. But it is. A little bit more of the deciduous stuff. But you'll see the native vegetation as we get higher. One of the things I had to watch out for on the way here too is lots of wallabies and things on the side of the road because marsupials are crepuscular for the most part. And so in the mornings and evenings, they turn out and unfortunately get hit by cars. And just down the bottom of the mountain here, there was also an echidna dead on the road, which is unfortunate because I love echidnas. They're harmless little creatures and quite lovely and do nobody any harm at all. They're fortunately not endangered, but I never liked seeing native species being harmed in the natural environments, and unfortunately you get a lot of them, particularly wallabies and other things like that. Let's have a look here. Memorial Cross. Yeah, we're going to head up to the Memorial Cross rather than going through to Woodend and things. So, taking the curve around here. And up the hill. I mapped this out on Google Maps for myself so I know where I'm going. And see, we've transitioned to native forest rather than the fake forests of the colonizers. And they're much more beautiful and much more, of course, suited to the environment. So heading up now to the national park kind of areas around here. And there's a memorial cross up on the hill. There was a plane crash on Mount Macedon, and I think it memorializes that, if I remember correctly. But pretty much we're at the top of the mountain now, or close enough for jazz. And the top of the mountain has some spectacular views looking back at Melbourne. So I want to try to get those while we're up here and just groove on that. Doesn't look a lot like Macedonia around here, does it? But it is a nice bendy road, which I kind of like driving on bendy roads more than I like straightaways. I'm going to have to do the Great Ocean Road a little more. I know I've done a video where I showed a bit of it, but there are spectacular views on the Ocean Road I wasn't able to catch on that very early video I did on the channel. And I'm looking forward to going back there, probably in wintertime, because summertime's a nightmare. Tons of tourists, tons of holiday makers. And there are, by the way, lots of, and so yeah, Great Ocean Road's definitely on the list to do for the channel. There are a lot of bush tracks you can walk around here. I'm not going to, because I'm not particularly a bushwalking kind of guy. But I will do the little walk up to the cross once we get to the car park at the top. Weekends, this place gets rammed with people coming up to enjoy the views and enjoy the countryside. So this is a Wednesday, fortunately, and it's quite early. So we should be okay and not have too much bother while we're up here. In fact, I could almost be the only person this high on the mountain, which would be lovely. I'd love that idea. Maybe not, but we'll see. We'll see what we got. And of course, I didn't have a drink before I started narrating, so my throat's getting a bit dry, so if I sound a little bit worse for wear, that's the reason why. And the road's getting bumpy, yes. So, yeah, there are lots of little picnic areas around here as well. I'm not sure if people picnic much anymore. Some do, some don't. But rarely see it because there are so many nice cafes within, say, 20 kilometres of this place. People are more inclined to get a focaccia than pack a picnic lunch and do that kind of jazz these days. Which is a shame, though. I have had some picnic lunches where they really should have refrigerated the food before we did that. But that's the case. Here we go, we're on a one-way street here, which means we're heading toward the top bit and the car park that leads up to the cross, and we're going to get some speed bumps as well. Let's see. Memorial Cross that way. Parking over here. Haven't been up here for a long time. But we'll see what we got. Okay, you can see me now. There is a food truck here, which is kind of cool. And you can get burgers pretty much. Let me just show you the burgers. Not open yet. But you can get something to eat. You can also get coffees and step on twigs. But here we are. There is a trail going that way, which I'm not going down. But we'll go up to the Memorial Cross and see what's there. It's quite chilly, in fact. I just bit my tongue, always a good thing. I'm having the clumsies today. No bike riding in the reserve. And there's 24-hour video surveillance for your viewing pleasure. Here we go. The original cross. Lots of Christian propaganda. Deterioration of the first cross, because putting something that big up on the top of a mountain is always going to be a problem. They demolished the first one in 1995. If we go over here, construction of the new cross. And they give you photos of it in case you don't want to go up the hill a bit. It says it's a war memorial cross, but not all people who go to wars are Christians. And they do have some commemoration plaques around here as well. But let's go up the hill and check out the views. You hear the wind in the trees. I love this. Doesn't feel like you're on the top of a volcano. But it is dormant, it's not extinct. Let's check out the Major Mitchell Lookout. Spectacular views, north and west. Clouds rolling over the countryside. It's quite lovely. Wonder if someone's building a bonfire down there. Not sure. But yeah, we're about 1 kilometre up above the plains here and above the hills. Let's look at the view towards Melbourne. We'll go up to the cross and things and check out that view. Here's a bit of your native bushland. Frederick McCubbin painting in real life. Interesting, they've got some lights here. Start to see the cross there. Totally unnecessary artifact. Another plaque about the cross and the restoration of it. And as you can see, they put a bit of garden around it. Because the native bushland is not good enough. Feels very artificial around here. There are places where I don't mind artificiality. But yeah, this kind of takes away from the natural beauty for me, which is unfortunate. I wasn't expecting that. It also feels a bit like Humboldt sinkhole in Mount Gambier, which there's your cross for those who partake. And a plaque, Mount Macedon Memorial Cross Reserve. This plaque was unveiled by the Governor of Victoria, Richard McGarvey, in 1995. And the trees have grown up a bit here. Let's go around the other side so I can read this brass thing. There we go. Yeah, 1978. And it tells you where things are. Mount Martha's that way, 108 kilometres. Melbourne is that way. Railway line, Melbourne. Your lawn. Pretty Sally, Cape Otway, Colac, Warrnambool's 216 kilometres away. Hi to the Bull, I know it's some people there. Healesville, Mount Buffalo, Nagambie. We're at latitude 37 degrees, 23 minutes, 27 seconds south. Longitude 140 degrees, 34 minutes, 39 seconds east. Just in case you wanted to know, and there's another view of the cross. Very quiet here. And yeah, these gardens, obviously they're all taken care of. But I kind of prefer if they weren't here. Let me know what you think. Am I being churlish because I haven't had enough coffee this morning? And yes, I'm going to get answers saying yes. But yeah, it feels like a very 1950s garden. There are a lot of gardens around Melbourne like this from the 50s. And of course, they have put the remembrance rosemary in these big ornamental pots. My grandparents used to grow rosemary by the front gate. So every year when my grandfather went to the Anzac Day commemorations, he could put some in his lapel. Up the hill again. And here we get the transition to the native bushland. Back in the car now. And yeah, some prick left a vape lying around here, so I've picked it up. I'm going to throw it in the bin when I get somewhere. But I think I might head off now and find a country town to look around. What do you reckon? Let's see what happens. I got lost, but it's a happy lost because I knew the direction I was going. I came down off the mountain. I went down through Wood End, a place I kind of know. And then I got lost in the traffic of Wood End and ended up on another country road, which has taken me happily to Trentham. And I'll just show you where I parked, outside the Cosmopolitan Hotel at Trentham. An old colonial era hotel. I like Trentham. It has a potato festival every year, which is not on at the moment, but it does have some old style colonial buildings. I think I'll go for a walk through Trentham in a minute and take you with me. And we'll see if I can get a snack because I'm a little bit peckish. And I know if the bakery is open, I can get great snacks. But if the bakery is not open, the Redbeard Bakery, then I've got other options. So we'll just see where we end up. Being lost is fun, as long as you've got a resource to get yourself unlost. I probably need to pick up some petrol soon, but for the most part, I'm enjoying the day. It's a lovely autumn day, which doesn't happen all that often, but I enjoy it, and we're just going to see how we go. Okay, here on the main drag. Let's see what we can find. When is Spudfest? Missed it. 3rd and 4th of May. But there's little shishi art galleries around here. And then tiki places. Wonder if the bakery's open. Don't know that it is. The flags are out, so we'll just go and see. Down this alley with the beautiful seats. And we'll see if the Red Beard Bakery is open. And it's not Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, which is not today. Which is a shame, but I'm sure I can find food if I hunt around. A random lion. Got this habit of turning up in country towns when things are shut. Hotel Trentham across the road. A food place. But it doesn't look like the sort of food place where I can get what I want. There's a cafe in that bank, which is an option. There's a bakery up ahead. I'm gonna circle around and come back. And that bakery's looking good. Here's a bit of history for the area. Used to be a drapery here, which it isn't anymore. Cheeky little road. Just noticed there's a very groovy looking clock up there, which I really like. Bit of style. Another rare phone booth. Here's the thing with country towns. Always know where the public toilets are. And always know where the owls are. Fish and chip shop up here. It sometimes snows up here, not often. But in Trentham it sometimes snows. And just to prove my point, there's a painting or a photograph here of Trentham in the snow. Very cool. The shadows are getting to it a bit, but there it is. It does snow up here. They're advertising for a metalworks up on Mulcahy's Road, which is kind of cool. Decided what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and get a coffee from the cafe and something to eat from the bakery. I'm going to split the difference here. I'll let you know what I get when I've got it. Okay, got myself a pepper pie, Portuguese tart, which I love, and a double shot espresso. Yeah, I've made the right choice. Went to the cafe for the coffee, the bakery for the baked goods, and I think I'm going to head on and curve around to home. But I'll finalise this video in a little bit, and who knows what other adventures we'll have. Here we go, we've got a bit of a monument here, Trentham, gateway to the Wombat State Forest. And we've got a very elaborate wombat here, which is very cool. I like wombats. They're fairly harmless and they have cubicle shaped poos, which is quite rare in the animal kingdom. So, I'm going to get in the car now and I'm going to head south, and I'm actually going to go through part of Wombat State Forest. We'll see how we go. Here we go, a little bit of Wombat State Forest. nice and quiet. There was a sign just before I pulled in saying that between dawn and dusk you got to watch out for wombats. There are a lot of them around here. But it's a beautiful part of the world. And the trees stretch up forever. Lovely native forest. And you don't often see that part of Australia in a lot of Facebook and YouTube posts. But it's also very lovely when it snows here. The snow and the trees kind of blend together in a way that doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. So I just thought I'd give you a little moment of that, a little moment of zen, and I'll probably end the video here. And the car's going past, so I'll end it after the car goes past. Not a lot of traffic here, but occasionally we get a car or two. So, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please thumbs up, like, subscribe, leave a comment, tell me what you liked, tell me what you didn't like, tell me whether you like me complaining when I was up at Mount Macedon. I did get a bit grumpy, I think I was a bit hangry, but things will improve. These videos are weekly, by the way, so you can subscribe, and every week there'll be something new. I don't know what it's going to be next week, but I've got a couple of ideas that might be a bit of fun. By the way, you can support the channel on Patreon by going to the Patreon I've got for both of my channels, which is patreon.com/TerryTalksMovies, and you can support the channel through that. And you also get my monthly Spotify playlist, and you can hear the kind of music that I enjoy when I'm off on these random and quite silly drives. I'm not driving down that road because I don't think it leads anywhere interesting. But anyway, until then, everybody look after yourselves, have a great time, get out and explore the world a little bit, and I'll catch you next time.